If you are unemployed currently, in today's video, I'm going to tell you a surprising but best thing that you can do with the time you currently have. So let's say you find yourself retrenched, you've been fired, you're between jobs, you're looking for a job, maybe you've just graduated from university, from high school, whatever the reason is, you are currently not working and you find yourself obviously sitting at home. I'm assuming you do have shelter and you've got time on your hands. Now, obviously, the most important thing you're going to do is job hunt. You're going to send out your CV, you're going to go for interviews, those kind of things. Those are the practical things, those are the normal things you can do. But in today's video, I'm going to tell you something that you may not have thought about, but that is the most important and best use that you can make of this time that you now have. So what I'm talking about is using the time that you have, because now you are not employed, you're not filling your days with work. So you're going to have hours to spare. I'm assuming you're obviously not going to be going out shopping, you're not going to be spending a lot of money, you're not going to be going out for dinners and movies and things, because of course you're in a financial position where you can't do that. But now you have the most important thing that anyone needs in this life, and that is time. You've got the time now, and I would say the best use of that time right now is to become self-aware. A self-aware person is probably more valuable and more hireable than somebody who is not self-aware. And I speak from experience. I speak from somebody who has been on the hiring side of the coin. I've also been an employee and a worker, so I've gone for interviews, but now I've been on both sides of that fence, that coin. And I can tell you with 100% certainty, whilst skills, job skills are valuable and they're important, almost anyone can be sent on a course or can learn a skill. And I'm not saying those are not important, they're very important. And if you need to use the time to get skilled as well, do that. But even more valuable to most employers is a candidate, an employee who is self-aware, who knows themselves, their strengths, and who is self-observant, who can hear criticism, and who can almost see themselves from outside themselves. Somebody who can direct themselves. Somebody who is a master of themselves. And so the most important thing you can do with this time you now have between jobs is to meditate, spend time with yourself, go within, take that time, go within, be still, calm your mind, and journal. Use this time to really and truly get to know yourself, especially if you are younger. This is a valuable time. Life has given you this time. And so I would say, I know it is painful, especially if you were fired or retrenched, so you lost your job due to some reason. I know it can be very pulling, very easy to sit and wallow in self-pity, to go into dark negative thoughts. But maybe reframe this time that you have now. Now you are without a job. Reframe it as life has now given you an opening, a gap, a space of time where you don't have the financial means to just fill it with doing and busyness and things. Use that time whilst you're sitting at home or wherever you reside. Use that time to meditate. And if you're not into meditation, don't call it meditation. Use that time to sit and be still with your thoughts. And if you find that your thoughts are running away with you and you're just ruminating, you do need to find a way to halt the rumination and just let each thought go. Now, the best thing you can do, obviously, is you can watch videos on meditation on YouTube. You can Google meditation. You can actually download the Headspace app. There are many, many, many ways you can quiet your mind. But firstly, you need to quiet and still your mind and be calm in order to become self-aware and observe yourself. And I would say use this time to watch your thoughts. So, like I said, don't get pulled into the spiral of rumination. But when you quiet your mind, you will see that thoughts come up. I'm not worthy, maybe. I'm not good enough. Why me? Why did this happen to me? Why can't I find a job? What's wrong with me? All these negative thoughts. Instead of being pulled into them and then letting them make you emotional and get sucked into negativity or depression, just observe them. Observe them. And maybe if you do that for long enough, you will see that the thoughts are just arising, but they are not you. You are not the thoughts. You are the observer of the thoughts. And that is the magic to what I'm trying to tell you is you can observe your thoughts without identifying with those thoughts. And the point of all of this is to make you realize that you don't need to react to every thought that comes up. It is to make you less reactive, because an employee who is highly reactive is obviously not going to stick around for that long. Now, I can tell you with 100% surety that an employer is looking for staff and workers who are calm, self-directed, can get along with others, and who are pretty much non-reactive. Now, while you have this time, obviously, you've got to dedicate some time to polishing up your CV, sending it out, job hunting, and going for interviews. I'm not saying that those things are not important, but those are not going to take up your whole day. So you will find there are hours in the day where you are at a loose end, you've got nothing to do. And again, I say to you, the most important thing you can do, rather than rushing around, filling your time with busyness, is set the time aside to take an hour, sit in silence, meditate. And then possibly in the afternoon, take another hour and journal. Now, journaling is such an important tool for life. I think it is one of the most important ways you can get to know yourself. And of course, I'm talking about stream of conscious journaling, which is where you just let it all tumble out, and that is valuable as well. But for the purpose of finding a job and becoming employable, by becoming self-aware, you can journal with a purpose. And that purpose is to try and see yourself from outside of yourself. So journal, write questions down, and then answer them. And I have a list of questions, and I will pop that up on the screen now. The questions you need to ask yourself are putting yourself in the mind of someone who would hire you, or maybe your ex-employer, your old boss. Put yourself into their shoes, see yourself through their eyes, and see yourself as somebody outside of yourself, and ask yourself hard questions, and really get to know yourself as if you were meeting yourself. How are you to work with? What is it like to work with somebody who's like you? Are you very reactive? Are you negative? Do you bring all your personal problems to work? Do you take a lot of time off? Are you always angling for sick leave? Are you always trying to do as little as possible and try and get as much out of that employer as possible? You really need to look at yourself properly, truly, and answer these questions as truthfully as possible. So I'm going to go through the questions that I have for you, and some of them they might be tough and they might be difficult, but get as honest with yourself as possible. And all this kind of work you can do in any area of your life, and it's really, really valuable to really get to know yourself. So journal questions, number one, and I think this one is very, very important, because of course in any job situation, you're going to encounter criticism, feedback, something that you did that your boss is not happy with and he wants to correct you. So ask yourself, how do I handle criticism or feedback? If you get very defensive and you immediately go into denial mode, or that wasn't me, I didn't do, you shut down, that is not a good sign. Every boss that I know that I've worked for, and I mean, I've dated people who had their own companies. Currently, my partner owns an IT company, and the biggest thing he battles with is staff that cannot hear when they've done something wrong, and they can't handle the feedback or the criticism. And of course, we're all human. No boss expects anyone to be perfect. So it's not about being perfect. It's about learning to listen to what went wrong, what you might have done wrong, the error in your, whatever it is that you did and you made a mistake. Can you hear it? Can you simply hear it, accept it, and say, okay, I'm going to correct myself and do better next time. And that's really all that any boss could ask for. Question number two, how do I handle conflict? So if there's office drama, there's conflict, one staff member is being mean to another, whatever the case may be, someone's picking on you, How do you handle that conflict? Journal about that too, because the way we handle interpersonal conflict is so important to making you employable. If you're always the one starting drama, if you're always the one making others feel shit about themselves, if you're always aggressive, mean, causing conflict, you are going to probably be the one who gets fired at some point. Also, if you don't handle conflict well and you just break down, you have meltdowns, also that is not a good sign. It's not an employee that an employer wants. So journal about that too. Number 3, what energy do I bring? So this is you asking yourself, what energy do you bring to the workplace? When you arrive at work, what is your energy? Have you prepared yourself mentally for the day and you enter that place ready to work? Do you enter all in a tiz from your personal drama? You've just had a fight with your boyfriend, something's happened at home, and now you are not in a space to work and you need an hour to prepare yourself. You're making coffee, you're gossiping, you're doing a million things before you sit down and focus at your desk. What energy do you bring when you enter the workplace? And what energy do you hold throughout the day? Now, I'm not saying you need to be perfect. No one's perfect. But do you have a calm, conscientious, I am here to bring the best out of myself for my company, for my boss, whatever it may be? Just ask yourself what energy you bring to the workplace and really, really think about that question. Number 4, very similar to question number 1, but can I own up to my own mistakes? You don't always need to wait for your boss to ask you about something, ask why something went wrong. You can actually also just own up to a mistake. But if somebody, a boss, a work colleague, some other staff member says something and you realize you've made a mistake, all you need to do is just say, I'm sorry, my bad. I'll try not to let it happen again, or I'll correct that mistake. So I want you to write that question down and journal it. As somebody who has hired people and as somebody who has managed staff and, like I say, been on the inside of a boss's mind, I can tell you 1,000% that an employee who can own up honestly without getting ruffled, who can own up to their mistakes and just say, my bad, I made a mistake, is worth gold. It is the number one thing I think most bosses are looking for, somebody who can own up to their mistake and very calmly correct it. And obviously put in their minds that they will try not to make that mistake again. Again, no boss is expecting you to be perfect. We're all human. And I'm not saying there are not some shitty bosses who do expect too much. There are, but I'm talking about most reasonable employers and bosses. Most of them just want staff who try their best and can own up when they make mistakes. And that's really it. Number 5 on the question on the list. Am I self-motivated? So are you motivated to do your best for no other reason than it's satisfying to do your best? Or do you need always to have a little carrot dangle in front of you? Or do you need to be pushed by criticism, negativity, fear? Does the boss have to drive you? Or can you just drive yourself? Again, that is worth its weight in gold in a staff member. Number 6, can I self-direct? So once you know the general what is expected of you and what is required of you, do you need your boss, your employer, your manager, whoever it is, to always be pushing you, always be telling you what to do, always giving you task lists? Or are you clever enough, mature enough, and can just direct yourself? Do you know how valuable that is to any boss, to any company? Staff that can just know what's expected of them and get on with it without having to be constantly told and directed and pushed. Number 7, how is my time management? Again, this question is valuable and I really want you to take the time, sit and journal and answer these questions that I'm giving you in this video, because your answers to these questions will get you to really think about how valuable you are as an employee. And if you can answer these questions and work on yourself and work on these things in yourself, these are so much more valuable than just learning how to type, whatever skill is required. Those skills are valuable. I'm not saying they're not. And there are some skills that do require a lot of study, but almost anyone can be trained. But these intrinsic qualities that you need to develop as a human being, these things are something that it's intangible, but it's what every employer, company and boss are looking for. So if you can manage your own time effectively, that is a skill that is also golden. Absolutely. Number 8, am I generally pleasant, positive, and calm to be around? So is it easy to work with you in a workspace? Or does chaos and negativity, drama and conflict follow you? Are you always coming into work with 1,000 stories, so much personal problems? Are you moping around? Are you always sad? Is your energy low? Are you always upset? Are you always angry? Are you always finding yourself in conflict with other staff members? I want you to answer this question as honestly as you can. Really take the time to self-reflect. Number 9, now imagine, really do this exercise. Imagine that you are your employer. So imagine you are not you, you've hired you though. How would you describe yourself? So how would that employer, whether it's your current boss, I mean, not your current, you're unemployed now, but your to-be boss, your current to-be boss, your ex-boss, whoever it is, think about a boss, somebody who's hired you. How would they describe you? Honestly, not how would they give you a reference letter, but how would they honestly describe you as who you are? Number 10. So now, besides any skills that you bring, maybe you've learned a certain program or you can operate certain machinery, whatever that may be. Besides those skills, ask yourself and reflect on this question over and over. Why are you a good person to have working for any company? So of course, if you are between jobs, particularly if you were fired or you were retrenched, you need to take the time and self-reflect. Why was I the one chosen to be fired, to be retrenched? Sometimes it's unavoidable, sometimes it is just bad luck, but sometimes, although they're telling you that, okay, your position has become redundant, I can also say for certainty that companies do not get rid of truly valuable staff members. They don't. In fact, they try and hold on to them. So you need to self-reflect and truly consider, what do you bring as a human being? Not just the skills. Skills are important, but how you are as a human being and how you interact with people in that company, what you bring to the table for that company. These are questions you need to ask yourself. And even if this job is just a stepping stone to something more that you want to grow into a position, you want to develop, you want to move on and up, that is okay. But even if you just give of your very best for this moment, this stepping stone, you will more than likely reach the next stone. But if you're always just take, what can I get, what's in it for me, you will actually find it's a very difficult road to move forward, to get ahead, to move up the chain, up the ladder, because employers, companies, bosses, they're aware, they're noticing who pulls their weight and who truly has that work ethic and that drive and that motivation. So while you're unemployed, really take the time to reframe. Okay, I've got time now to self-reflect, to journal. Try and work on yourself as a person. And again, it's not about, you can also work on yourself in general as a person. And this process, this time to self-reflect, will have huge dividends throughout all your life. It's good for all your relationships. It's good for you in general in your life. It's going to have positive spin-offs in every area of your life. But I can guarantee you, you are more likely to be employed if you are a well-rounded, well-balanced human being who can bring value to the company and who can work well with other people and who can see themselves truly. Not that you have to be perfect, like I've said. No one's looking for perfection. There is no perfection. There's no perfect person. But are you somebody that other people can work with? Are you somebody that your boss can leave and trust to get on with it? Are you somebody who can say, oops, I made a mistake? And are you somebody who always gives of their best and who's always looking, what else can I do? How can I improve? How can I make this company better? That, I think, is the best use of your time while you are unemployed. Self-reflection. Go within. Go within. Look at yourself. Get to know yourself. Really, really get to know yourself. and get to know yourself not as a personality, but as something deeper. And you can bring that energy into your next job. And I can also guarantee you that the energy you carry in to any position is so much more valuable than just a skill set. I know that if you apply what I've said in this video today, it will make the world of difference